Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. If you haven't seen the entire video of the UNCTAD and KEPSA Kenya co-hosted event that I was moderating with Jack Ma of Alibaba Group, do take a look. That link is on the website and on Rich Wrap-Ups. It gives you a flavour of what was said, what he said, what others said. Well worth a listen. Home Thoughts, Sheller Beach. I haven't been there for about 5 years. It's in Namu. And I like this photograph from Peter size 10. Always imagined a scene like this, and indeed I've walked exactly where that photograph was taken, not at that time. My discovery of the library at the Muthaiga Club has meant I've been travelling all over the world. DR Congo and the Andes have been my latest destinations. DR Congo, I went with Tim Butcher, who wrote this book, Blood River, A Journey to Africa's Broken Heart. The normal laws of development are inverted here in the Congo. The forest, not the town, offers the safest sanctuary, and it is grandfathers who've been more exposed to modernity their grandchildren. I can think of nowhere else on the planet where the same can be true. It's page 141. It's rather unputdownable. It's a 2,000-kilometer journey he undertakes through the most remote parts of the Congo on a motorbike. He tends to escape a lot of soldiers by just speeding off on the motorbike before they understand, that they could have interdicted him. I'll put up a photograph of the book, well worth a read. I like this photograph, Europe's Caribbean, Sardinia by Holger. It's just the image of the sea. In gambling, as in business, knowing when to fold is key. Important point. Political reflections, Chinese jets intercept US surveillance plane. 2 Chinese fighter jets intercepted a US Navy surveillance plane over the East China Sea at the weekend, with one jet coming within about 300 feet of the American aircraft, US officials said on Monday. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said initial reports showed one of the Chinese J-10 aircraft came close enough to the US EP-3 plane on Sunday to cause the American aircraft to change direction. I concluded by saying Xi Jinping is baring his fangs. Not only with the Americans, but also with India. China and India are currently locked in an eyeball-to-eyeball border standoff. 2 nuclear-armed powers with a combined population of 2.7 billion had been in an eyeball-to-eyeball military standoff over territory in Bhutan, a kingdom in a remote area of the Himalayas, since mid-June. The flare-up, one of the most serious since China won a border war in 1962, comes as the 2 rising powers jostle for regional influence. The current dispute is near a 3-way junction between Bhutan, China's Tibet, and India's Sikkim. All land-based military and commercial traffic between India's northeastern provinces and the rest of the country travels through the narrow strip of land known as the Siliguri Corridor, also sometimes referred to as the Chicken's Neck. The Doklam Plateau, where troops are currently facing off, overlooks the corridor, which India defense strategists fear could be vulnerable to Chinese attack in case of a conflict. All 3 sides agree that a People's Liberation Army road-building team entered the Doklam Plateau and started construction. India said its troops entered Bhutan's territory in coordination with Bhutanese authorities to stop the Chinese road builders. There are now about 3,000 troops on each side on the plateau, according to the Times of India. It is the first time that Indian troops have confronted China from a third country. My conclusions are the same as they were above. Xi Jinping is baring his fangs. Prime Minister Modi is going to have to tread very, very carefully here. The big read, Wang Qishan, China's enforcer, this is the FT. Since late 2012, he has been, as some refer to him, the handle on President Xi's knife. I like this photograph from Scaramucci, a great night in Wisconsin. We have great momentum. It's that extraordinary face that President Trump puts on in these instances. I have not sought the spotlight, says Jared Kushner in White House statement. All of my actions were proper. I did not collude with Russia. The Guardian, however, has come up with an interesting report about how Kushner's sealed real estate deal with oligarchs' firms cited in money laundering case. Kushner, the son-in-law of Trump, who acts as his senior White House advisor, secured a multi-million-dollar Manhattan real estate deal with a Soviet-born oligarch whose company was cited in a major New York money laundering case being investigated by members of Congress. A Guardian investigation has established a series of overlapping ties and relationships involving alleged Russian money laundering. New York real estate deals and members of Trump's inner circle. They include a 2015 sale of part of the old New York Times building in Manhattan involving Kushner and a billionaire real estate tycoon and diamond mogul, Lev Leviev. The ties between Trump family real estate deals and Russian money interests are attracting growing interest from the Justice Department Special Counsel Robert Mueller, as he seeks to determine whether the Trump campaign collaborated with Russia to distort the outcome of the 2016 race. Mueller has reportedly expanded his inquiry to look at real estate deals involving the Trump organization as well as Kushner's financing. Leviev, a global tycoon known as the King of Diamonds, was a business partner of the Russian-owned company Prevezon Holdings that was at the center of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit launched in New York under the leadership of U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara, who was fired by Trump in March. Prosecutors pursued Prevezon for allegedly attempting to use Manhattan real estate to launder money stolen from the Russian treasury. The trail of evidence, in my view, is in off-market trades. An off-market trade is, for example, Amazon is trading at $1,000. You do a trade at $1,200. And there are plenty of these, and that's the smoking gun of this whole thing. Now, President Trump tweeted, "So why aren't the committees and investigators and, of course, our beleaguered Attorney General looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations?" he asked. And the best response comes from Moby Dick at sea, whom I follow. "But shall this crazed old man be tamely suffered to drag a whole ship's company down to doom with him?" I think that's a fair point. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince met with the Turkish President in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what came of that. The Saudi Arabian king has handed over power to the Crown Prince whilst he's on holiday. That's from Stratford. Largely, he's been in charge, I think, for quite a while. Ayatollah Khamenei is seen here participating in a ritual cleaning of Imam Reza's grave in Mashhad. And then a very interesting piece I came across in Amana Tech, uncovering a Twitter bot army mobilized against Al Jazeera. Take a look at that link. It's self-explanatory. JS Blockland, wow, chart the social media universe indeed. Alphabet's earnings beat estimates. The main Google division generated revenue of $22.67 billion in the latest period, but 22% of that was paid out to partners as traffic acquisition costs, also known as TAC. A year earlier, TAC was 21% of Google revenue. Most of Google's growth comes from mobile search ads, YouTube marketing spots, and automated marketing called programmatic campaigns. The company has to share more of the money from those ads than it does with its original web search marketing slots. That saw Google sell off, but I'm sure it'll recover in due course. TAC payouts primarily go to network websites and mobile partners, which took the largest chunks from Google sales since 2009, according to Pivotal Research Group. Protection against a dollar plunge is the costliest since 2009. This is all about political risk, is it not? Federal Reserve expected to hold interest rates steady Wednesday. Traders in the $5.1 trillion a day currency market are paying the largest premium since October 2009 to protect against extreme decline in the dollar against the euro over a 6-month tenor. The measure, also known as a 10 delta risk reversal, is an indication of trader bias in the options market, which currently reflects strong bearish sentiment on the greenback. Currency markets, last time I looked, euro dollar 116.67, dollar index heading towards that key area of support of 93.50. Japanese yen 110.91, Swiss franc 0.9467, the pound 130.40, notwithstanding a growth downgrade from the IMF yesterday. Aussie, which got briefly to 0.80 last week, was at 0.7943. India rupee 64.385. South Korean won 11.1572. The Rial 3.146. Egyptian pound 17.8825. South African rand 12.9373. And it's taken that rate cut in stride. The Bloomberg dollar index is testing structural support. This is from Giancarlo Torlizzi. As I was saying, this is the key area of support. This is seen in this tweet of Giancarlo. The Bloomberg dollar spot index has lost about 8% this year. Euro dollar put up a 3-month chart. We'll continue to see strong strength in it. Let's see where we go from here. I think it needs a bit of a retracement. Commodity markets again turning to Giancarlo Torlizzi. I might be wrong, of course, but this does not look to me a bullish pattern just yet. He's talking about gold at 1256.10. US crude oil futures have popped a little bit higher, up 1.25% yesterday at $46.34. I think we can recover a little bit more before the fundamentals set in again. Traders fear hard landing in emerging markets. The rapid growth of a BlackRock Inc. exchange-traded fund that tracks emerging market debt is causing jitters among investors. And they're just saying that a lot of money is piled in. The risk is that if the carry trade unwinds, as tends to happen eventually, investors could race for the exit all at once and send the fund tumbling. Venezuela's $3 billion of notes maturing in 5 years plunged 3.4 cents to 44.3 on the dollar, capping a 1-week drop of 8.5 cents. This is trading significantly below another defaulted bond, and they haven't defaulted yet. I'm talking about Mozambique. Let's go to sub-Saharan Africa. China is making its presence felt across Africa, said The Economist. And that dovetails into what I was writing over the weekend about how Jack Ma, chairman of Alibaba, I was reflecting on his visit and was thinking in many ways it had single-handedly reset the China-Africa narrative. Kabila's government has spent $4 million this year lobbying Washington. Someone who is planning to leave wouldn't do that, fair comment. Maldives opposition says government locks down parliament. Look at this photograph from Parliament House, MPs being removed from the premises forcefully by the military and the police. A South African 9-year-old has become the 3rd HIV-infected child to go into remission. That's great news. South African power sales at decade low as economy shrinks. Eskom has spent billions of dollars on more generation capacity, yet it's selling the least electricity to local consumers in more than 10 years. Last year's drop in domestic demand, which makes up about 93% of total sales, wasn't helped by the country's second recession in less than a decade. Customers have taken to the courts to fight the producers' effort to raise tariffs that on average have climbed more than double the rate of inflation since 2007. Electricity consumption is probably the best proxy for GDP. South African all share up 7.33% year to date. Dollar versus rand below 13, but still in that 12, 16, 13, 14 range. I like this. Egypt at sunrise. This is from Earth Picks. Egyptian pound well behaved, 17.8825. Nigerian all share up 28.94% year to date. Ghana cuts its key rate 150 basis points to 21% as inflation slows. And its stock market is the world's best performing stock market. It's surely getting another boost. The Ghana Stock Exchange this year is the best in Africa after Zimbabwe, and almost triple that of the MSCI World Index, which has advanced 12%. Its gain in 2017 is the biggest on a year-to-date basis since 2013. Investors think there's still more room for prices to rise. The Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is up a whopping 31.99% year-to-date. The amount Tanzania wants from Barrick Gold and Acacia in unpaid tax is the same as the UK government's entire annual health spending for 65 million people. Tanzania has handed Acacia a bill of $190 billion. The government issued the company, which mines all of its gold in the African country, with a $40 billion tax bill and another $150 billion bill in interest and penalties, Acacia said in a statement on Monday. The charge covers alleged underdeclared export revenues from the Bulyanhulu and Buzwagi mines over periods between 2000 and 2017. Acacia reiterated that it has fully declared all revenues. The stock extended a slump after the statement, closing down 21% in London to the lowest since January 2016. The company is considering all of its options and rights and will provide a further update in due course, they said. At least 2 senior employees have been detained for questioning by Tanzanian authorities this month, while other employees have been interviewed by the police. On Friday, Acacia said the dispute had depleted its cash balance to $176 million from $318 million a year ago. That will have to shutter its flagship Bulyanhulu mine at the end of this quarter if the situation is not resolved. To put the size of the bill in perspective, Acacia had total revenues of $1.05 billion last year and has reported sales of a total of $7.7 billion since 2009. 11th of July, I said recent events in both Tanzania and South Africa's mining sectors are tipping both jurisdictions into an uninvestable and twilight zone. I was saying it was an opportunity for Kenya. Raila Odinga was on the podium alone yesterday as President Uhuru snubbed the debate. NASA's flag bearer had the podium to himself. Mr. Odinga arrived a few minutes to 8 p.m., but the debate started 30 minutes later after President Kenyatta failed to show up. Both Odinga and Kenyatta said they would not attend the debate. I think the President should have turned up, and I think this is a similar mistake that Theresa May made a little while ago. Interesting piece of information from Professor Nick Cheeseman for those interested in the debate, the 2017 and 2013 voter registration rates in Kenya for easy comparison. Take a look. Interesting bit of research coming out of John Ashbourne saying that between 2002 and 2012, the standard deviation of Kenyan GDP growth was usually higher than the emerging market median. In 2015 and 2016, growth numbers produced by the Kenyan authorities were almost as stable as China's carefully managed official growth figures. Read part of the research now, that's a bit worrying. WizKid, who was in Nairobi, tweeted this, Nairobi love. My piece over the weekend was about the age of disruption, and I was talking about how I was moderating the event in Nairobi, co-hosted by Kebs and Untag. Alibaba was the chief guest. I quoted Schumpeter, who speaks of creative destruction, concept in economics that speaks to a process of industrial mutation that incessantly revolutionizes the economic structure from within, incessantly destroying the old one and incessantly creating a new one. I did that comparison between Netflix and Blockbuster, and when everyone was asking Jack, but what about our infrastructure? I said, hang on a second, your internet is so fast. And what he was saying was, look at this new information highway, because it is a disruption and an infrastructure all of its own. Now I was saying Kenya has embraced the internet economy. Soon every Kenyan will own a smartphone. Mobile money is a Kenyan phenomenon. Sports pesa came out of nowhere. The ingredients for making a high-velocity internet economy are all in place. I said the digital disruption is upon us. Physical bank branches will increasingly be liabilities and no longer assets on the balance sheet. Millions of Kenyans will have bank accounts but never ever set foot in a branch. It is going to be increasingly all about algorithms and algorithmic banking and large-scale artificial intelligence. All these shopping malls, unless they are a compelling proposition, will soon look and feel like legacy assets. There is no reason why online sales should not reach the UK average of 29% within 24 months. Think about that. And I was just quoting Kosler, futures not seen in the rearview mirror. Gold Crown Beverages has filed an insolvency petition against Nakumatt seeking to recover 60 million shilling debt. And we're in the death spiral at Nakumatt. Kenya shilling just below 104. Nairobi all share rallied 0.52% yesterday. It's up 17.08% this year and is at a 2-year high. Equity Bank is up 42.5% on a total return basis this year. The bank's got a fillip after the central bank governor said that they would look to constitute a committee to look into the rate act. KCB is up 49.56% on a total return basis. Standard Chartered is up 33.86% on a total return basis. The NSE Kenya is up 35.15% in 2017, and the volume bump at the bourse has encouraged the bulls. KenGen up 35.344% year to date, and after a shallow correction has pointed higher again. Uchumi up 40.81% since issuing a stock exchange notice headlined clarification on a potential investor. That link is there as well. The NSE 20 is up 16.51%, closed at a 13-month closing high. And finally, have a look at this 1-year chart of 3-month Treasury bills. And it shows that big spike we had a little while ago. Once again, thank you for stopping by.